Yeah. So hi, hello everyone. Welcome to today's video. This is Shanmugaraj. Today's topic is program governance design and implementation. As we are aware, there are five performance domains we are discussing as part of program management standard. We are currently progressing with program governance, right? We already discussed strategy alignment, benefits management, and stakeholder engagement. So let's continue our journey on program governance. Program governance is a performance domain that enables and performs program decision making, establishes the practices to support the program, and maintains the program oversight. So it has three important aspects. We already discussed program governance practices, we discussed program governance roles. So today we're going to discuss about program governance design and implementation. So this is going to be the final video on program governance performance domain. So let's try to understand what are the different activities involved in program governance and design and implementation. The program governance starts with the identification of governance participants and the establishment of governance practices. Right? The governance practices may differ depending on the sector or industry that organization serves. The effective governance ensures that strategic alignment is optimized and targeted benefits are delivered as expected. The governance participants also confirm that stakeholders are appropriately engaged, tools and the processes are defined and leveraged. So all the activities are accomplished within the policies and standards of host and partner organizations and are measured to attain compliance. Yeah. So we understood different activities that are involved in designing the program governance and implementing it. Let's try to understand what are the different factors you need to consider, right, as a PMO leader, right? So what are the different factors when you do consider when designing this program governance, right? So first one is a legislative environment. So what is the environment, legislatively your company is operating? How, what is the different levels of interactions you need with the legislative authorities, right? If there is a high level of interaction, high level of changes required, interaction is required, then you may have a direct, the program manager or program management team can directly interact with the legislative authorities. If it is very less, corporate governance, on behalf of program, a management team, can interact with them. It depends on, the influence of change legislation to the program. What is the influence of the change legislation to the program? Accordingly, you can have either direct interaction from the program management team, or you can have a corporate governance to interact with them, right? The next one is the decision making hierarchy, right? Based on the availability of decision making hierarchy in your organization, you can decide whether you go for centralized or decentralized, right? In a centralized, you might have a program management center of excellence which will take most of the decisions, or program governance, a committee will take most of the decision. In a decentralized, or when you have a greater autonomy where the program manager is well experienced and everything, you can give a greater economy. It depends on the portfolio in which you're operating, depends on the program in which you're operating, size of the organization, everything is matter, right? Both centralized and decentralized has its own pros and cons. So when you decentralize greater autonomy for the program managers, the team will have more accountability and more decision making involvement. So most of the agile programs today are recommending decentralized decision making. So next factor you want to consider while designing is the optimized governance. What is the size of the governance, right? So when you optimize the governance, that will lead to a role clarity, effective and targeted support from the organization, right? So basically, when you streamline that, these are the governance activities, these are the governance team, this we're going to do these many activities. Program governance should not duplicate the program management activities. That needs to be very clear actually. So you need to optimize and understand what should be the interaction and size of the governance. You can accordingly have to optimize it. Accordingly, you can design your program governance. The next one is the alignment of the portfolio and organizational governance, right? The program governance is impacted by the portfolio governance that it supports. Degree of alignment with the organization governance based on number and type of related importance interaction with the corporate groups, right? So typically alignment is greatest in the program definition stage, right? So you can design according to that what kind of alignment, what kind of environment you need, or accordingly you can design your program governance. So other three factors that include, program delivery, contracting, and risk of failure. When it comes to program delivery, right? So program that delivers benefits, regularly, right? That requires a constant change in the operations. So you need a governance team to manage this change, very closely. When there is, program delivery happens, every a phase, and it takes every 6 months or so, you may not need that interaction of governance team with the program management team. It can be very lesser. So accordingly, you can design your oversight, and monitoring policy, right? Send the contracting, right? So program managed and executed by employees of receiving organization versus delivered by the external party, right? You can, according to a contracting, how the policies will change. If you look at, if the program is executed by external party, you need, more legal due diligence actually. So when the internal organization does, you may not need that kind of due diligence. Accordingly, you have to design your program governance, right? The final one is the risk of failure, right? When there is a greater the perceived risk, right, more closure monitoring is required by the governance team. So you have to put more oversight, more reviews inside your governance plan. So, a few other factors to consider while designing the program governance is strategic importance, right? So, high value programs critical to success of organization will require more senior participants, right? More reviews and more, closer monitoring will be required. When you have, another factor is the program management office, right? Project or program based organization, a centralized PMO supports the whole governance, right? If the organization is very small, PMO may be formed specifically to the program, or you can have program management team to handle PMO activities as well. Depends on the size of the organization. You can design your governance. The final one is the program funding structure, right? When the funding is secured externally, like World Bank, right, there are likely implications on the design of the governance and skills required, right? So when there's no funding, the funding is with internal, within the region or within the country. If it is going across the borders, you need to have a different set of designing the factors of the program governance. You need a different skill set as well. So with that, we have come to the conclusion of today's video. Hope you got a fair idea about what is involved in designing the program governance and implementing it. And we also discussed different activities while designing it. We also discussed about different factors you need to consider, right, while designing the program governance and designing and implementation, right? So with that, we have come to the conclusion of the program governance performance domain is done. We are going to program lifecycle management, which is a new domain which we're going to see it in subsequent videos. Okay, so thanks a lot for your listening. Okay, so take care. Bye bye.